Hey, what up guys? In this one, we're headed out to Corica Park. This is apparently ranked the 12th best Muni in the nation. I happen to agree with that. I think it's just a super awesome track. It has great drainage, so even though it rained quite a bit, it like didn't pool up water anywhere, and the greens were pretty slick, and the conditions overall were really good. So that being said, let's head out the course and see how I did. All right, hole number one is a dogleg right par 5. You don't want to fade it off into these traps like I did on the right hand side. The second shot, just playing to get back into the fairway to have a simple one for my approach into the green. So here is like, I believe my 50 degree. I chunk it pretty hard here and I end up being short. So I have to chip to get my up and down and try to save par here. So here's my chip attempt. Yeah, look, I hit it off of the fringe, let it roll on, and it just goes straight left. So yeah, definitely tough greens, and you really need to think about where you leave your pitch shots, because you can really just punish yourself by not putting it into the right place. So tap this one in for bogey, 1 over through 1. This next hole is a shorter par 4. I've seen people take fairway finders and play it a little bit shorter just to make sure they don't deal with any trouble left or right. I took my driver and ended up in this really nice spot, and unfortunately I pulled this ever so slightly to the left hand side of the green, but I'm on the fringe, so I have this putt for my birdie. And like I was saying earlier, if you're not careful with the greens here, you're gonna get punished. So this one I hit way past. I really think you should establish your rollouts on the practice green to kind of prepare yourself for the speeds here. This one I missed my par attempt, and I just tapped that in for bogey, so I'm 2 over through 2. All right, next up, another shorter par 4. I took out driver here, flared it out to the right hand side, but that's the safe side to miss it to, as I don't have to deal with a ditch on the left hand side. This next one, I end up drawing it into the green, and now I have a decent look at my birdie. So you can hear the planes flying over. This is close to the Oakland airport. And yeah, I got lucky. I hit the cup here for my birdie attempt. So here is the par attempt. And yeah, I end up just draining this one. So first part of the day, got to get back on track. So I was talking about how the previous 2 par 4s were really short. This is, I think, the number 1 handicap on the front, which is a really long par 4. And so I have to just hit a muscled up, I think, 4-iron to start the day, and I end up being short because there's no way, it being cold and me not being the best ball striker with the long irons, I'm gonna be short. And that's my chip. I thought I chunked it and it rolled out pretty far, so I have this for my par putt and it goes in. So 2 pars in a row. Let's go. All right, this next hole is a cool par 3. The greenskeepers really have a fun time of pin placement here with the undulations that you have to face. This one, unfortunately, I pulled it to the left, and so I have this tough chip to get up and down. And yeah, I hit a pretty good chip, and not too far from the hole. So here's just my cleanup par putt. And yeah, so I'm just stringing it together a couple pars here, and it feels really good. All right, next up is a shorter par 5. Stripe this one into the middle of the fairway. It's pretty forgiving left and right, but if you go too far right, there's going to be some sand traps to contest with. Next one, I just hit my super hybrid, and I hit it super good, and I'm being just short of the green, and I only have a short chip to get on to get close for birdie, and of course, I'm going to chunk it. So there was some grain that I was contending with, and it was catching my club. I was just making an excuse for myself, to be honest. And so I had a super long birdie putt, and yeah, I thought I hit it pretty good, and it ends up being really close to the hole. So here's just my par cleanup, maybe 5 feet or so, and yeah, just drain that for another par. So feeling pretty good now. All right, coming up next is a medium length par 3. This one is going to drop short of the trap and just roll in, which is kind of a bummer because sand shots are definitely the weaker part of my game. As you can see, not a great result. At least I get it out, but yeah, not where I wanted to be. And this chip, I have no idea what I was doing here. It was just really bad. I thought I was going to break hard right, and I play it right through the break. So now I have this really long putt for bogey. I'm just trying to do my best to get over that little ridge and to have it bleed to the hole, and it doesn't. So I have to tap in for my double bogey, and now I am 4 over. All right, coming up next is a short par 4. Everyone waits on the tee to, hit this green, and so it kind of backs up sometimes, but since we're the first group, we didn't have to wait for that. End up being a little bit short here.
and chipping out of this fescue, but hit a really good chip and have a really good attempt for birdie. And so I've been rolling in putts this distance all day, and this one I just missed it, but hey, I rolled it past to get it of a chance, and then I just cleaned this up for par. So coming back from a double, giving myself an opportunity for bird, end up with par, no complaints. All right, next up is a pretty straightforward par 4. You do have some trouble on the left and right hand side, so yeah, pretty much you just need to hit it straight. This next shot, unfortunately, I pull hook to the left hand side, and so now I have this tricky chip that I need to deal with a really big green. So I thought I was going to break a little bit left, but I missed my landing spot, and so it just goes straight ahead, full steam, and bleeds out to the right. So I have this really long one for par, and I think things were starting to dry up, and this one I just blasted right by. So yeah, I have a testy, 4.5, 5 footer just to make up my bogey, and yeah, unfortunately I missed. So that's my second double of the front 9, 6 over. All right, if you can carry these bunkers up the left hand side, it gives you a really easy approach to the green. I see some people have to go out to the right and extends the length of the hole ever so slightly. Since I covered, I end up just hitting a nice shot into the green. End up being pretty close for my birdie putt. So here's the birdie attempt. And yeah, I'm getting pretty aggressive with these putts because I want to make them. But I'm being a little bit more confident with the returners. So even though it's like a 4-foot returner, I'm still able to make it. So I'm getting away with really aggressive first putts. All right, this next par 3, it's a long one. I take out my utility 3-iron and I pull it to the left with a little bit of a draw. Not a great combination. And here's my next chip. End up just chunking it, and so I have a long one for my par. Here's the par putt, and like I said, being pretty aggressive on all my first putts, and I end up rolling this one by like 4 feet, maybe 4 foot and some change, and then basically, just had a confident stroke and make that for bogey. So 7 over at this point in the round. All right, this one is a tough driving hole, and yeah, I just decided to hit my worst drive of the day on this one. I get through that tree luckily, but now I have a long, like 200-yard plus shot into the green. So I take out my utility iron, pull it ever so slightly to the left, and I end up in the sand trap. And you know how I don't like sand traps. I hit this one pretty poorly. I kind of just bladed out, and now I have a really, really long par putt. All right, so here's the par putt attempt. Not as aggressive as my other putts because I don't want to make worse than bogey here. So I just, lay it up, I guess, per se, up there and just tap it in for my bogey. So 8 over now. All right, this next hole is a really short par 4. Not drivable, but, you really could just take an iron here and be okay. I take out a super hybrid. It goes up the right-hand side. And unfortunately, I am in some muddy stuff. So unfortunately, this ends up going into the sand trap on the right-hand side. I don't like sand traps. This one, I got lucky. I barely got it out, and it rolls on. And the greens are fast enough to compensate for my poor sand shot. So I have a decent look at it for par. But like the previous hole, I just want to get out there with bogey at worst. And so that's what I do. And I just tap in for my bogey. All right, for this one, I flare out my driver to the right-hand side. This one is also a shorter hole. If you can, you might want to play something that you can find the middle of the fairway. I have this crazy punch up that I need to do in order to get onto the green, and I end up getting on the green. I'm very impressed with myself on this one, not gonna lie. But what's even more impressive, I'm gonna play a little bit of a spoil alert here. I drained this massive putt for birdie. So yeah, pretty pumped about that, and I have a lot of adrenaline now going into the next hole. So here's my drive on the next hole. Just stripe it down the middle of the fairway. You kind of want to be off and to the right because it gives you a little bit more space on your second shot if you don't go for it. I unfortunately go for it and don't hit a great shot, and now I'm in the sand traps here where there's just a ton of sand traps. So I end up being short. I'm in the sand again, and this goes straight right out of the sand trap, and so now I have this super long putt for birdie right off of the fringe. So yeah, I just wanted to get over that hill. Doesn't quite do that. And so now I have another testy one just for my par. Here's the par putt. And yeah, I did not account for it being as downhill as it was. And so now I have a longer putt for my bogey. And yeah, that's kind of inexcusable. End up just like 4 putting for a double, and now I'm 10 over. All right, next up is a short par 3. This green can get pretty dicey depending where the flag is. This is in the front, and so this chip, because I'm short, is going to be kind of dicey. So here's the chip attempt. Yeah, not gonna lie, I'm gonna toot my own horn here. I actually end up making this, and yeah, so another birdie, 9 over at this point, going to another par 5. So this next hole, I hit a really good drive. My drives were on it that day. Hit this one into the fairway, and this one is not short enough to go 4-2, so I just lay it up and take a safe shot. But I end up pulling this one a little bit to the left, so I need to get a little bit better at placing my layups. Something I don't really think about too much. And yeah, this one, don't know what I was doing. End up just pulling this one to the left, and I'm off the green. So what you don't see a little bit before I started filming is that my dad beamed me from 80 yards out and it hit my belly. So yeah, these couple of shots here are kind of uncharacteristic of me, just making excuses for myself. But yeah, I ended up making like 4 strokes like within like 20 yards. But yeah, I was kind of taken aback by getting hit by my dad from 80 yards out in the stomach. Not going to show you the welt, but yeah, that's the story behind there. All right, this next hole, I'm up the left-hand side. Left is very safe because you also have the 10th hole to, cheat over if you want. This next approach is really good. As you can see, the north course that they're doing construction on the right-hand side goes all the way up to the green. If you hit it into that dirt, that's considered OB, and you're not supposed to get your ball out of there. So here's the putt for birdie. Hit a pretty good putt, and so I only have a really short one to clean it up. And so this is my par. End up cleaning that one up, 11 over overall. Feeling pretty good about that.
All right, as you can see, a little bit of up, a little bit of down. The game is getting pretty solid, I'm not going to lie. It feels good out there. And, I hope to do, pretty well this year and kind of get on track of my goal of shooting that par round. It's very hard to do so on camera. It kind of adds a stroke or two here because I'm worried about filming and stuff. But, man, Corica Park, if you can get a tee time, it's a great, great course. That's the biggest problem, is that getting a tee time in the first place is pretty tough because everyone wants to play it. But that being said, hope you guys enjoyed that one. Keep chasing. We'll see you in the next one.